maybe you have noticed something small that you never expected to notice. Getting up from your favorite chair takes a little more effort than it used to. You hold the armrest for a second before standing. Stairs that once felt automatic now make you slow down. And sometimes, after walking through the grocery store, you find yourself looking for a place to sit. If you are over 60 and your legs do not feel as strong or steady as they once did, this video is for you. Because getting older does not automatically mean your legs have to become weak. There are older adults who continue walking, climbing stairs, carrying groceries, and getting up from a chair with surprising ease. And the interesting question is not simply, how do they stay active? The better question is, what are they giving their bodies that their muscles need? And there is one part of this story that many people overlook. You may think strong legs are mainly about exercise. Exercise certainly matters, but your muscles also need the right building materials and nutrients to keep doing their everyday work. And later, we are going to talk about a few foods that can help support those needs without requiring a complicated diet. But there is something else you should know first. Sometimes what feels like normal aging can actually be influenced by how much muscle you are using, what you are eating, and whether your body is getting enough of the nutrients involved in normal muscle function. That does not mean every case of weak legs can be fixed with food. And it certainly does not mean you should stop any medicine or treatment your doctor has recommended. But it does mean there may be more within your control than you realize. Think about an ordinary morning. You wake up, walk toward the kitchen, and notice that your first few steps feel stiff. You make breakfast. Later, you stand up from the couch. Perhaps you push down with your hands without even thinking about it. Then you wonder, when did standing up become something I had to prepare for? That moment can be frustrating. Not because you are trying to become an athlete. You simply want to remain independent. You want to walk into the grocery store without worrying about how far you will have to go. You want to climb the stairs in your own home. You want to carry a bag of groceries. You want to get out of a chair without thinking about your legs first. And that is why leg strength matters so much after 60. It is not really about having impressive muscles. It is about keeping your everyday freedom. Now, here is where many people make a mistake. They notice their legs getting weaker and immediately think, I guess this is just what happens when you get old. But aging is not an on-off switch. Your body changes with age. Yes, muscle mass and strength can decline when muscles are not challenged regularly, and nutrition also plays an important role. So instead of simply asking, how old am I? It may be more useful to ask, what am I doing every day that helps my muscles stay useful? And that question leads us to something surprisingly simple, your next meal. Because before we talk about exercises, supplements, or complicated routines, we need to understand what your muscles actually need from the food you already eat. And one of the most important pieces of this puzzle may be sitting in an ordinary meal you have probably eaten many times. One of the biggest mistakes people make when their legs start feeling weaker is assuming the answer must be more exercise. And yes, movement matters. Your muscles need regular activity. Walking, standing, climbing stairs, and simple strength exercises can all help you stay mobile. But imagine trying to build a house while only bringing the workers. You still need the building materials. Your muscles are a little like that. Every day, your body is constantly repairing and maintaining muscle tissue. Your muscles also depend on nutrients to support normal energy production, nerve function, and movement. So if you are moving your body but your diet is lacking important nutrients, you may not be giving your muscles everything they need. This is one reason the phrase, weak legs are just aging, can be misleading. Getting older can make maintaining muscle more challenging, but your daily habits still matter. And there is another misconception worth clearing up. You do not necessarily need a refrigerator full of expensive senior health products. You do not need a complicated meal plan with 20 ingredients. And you certainly do not need to believe that one magical food can suddenly make your legs strong. Real nutrition is much less exciting, but much more useful. It is about consistently giving your body the raw materials it needs. One of the most important examples is protein. Protein provides amino acids, which your body uses to build and maintain muscle tissue. As you get older, paying attention to protein becomes especially important because maintaining muscle can become more difficult. That does not mean you should start taking huge amounts of protein powder. It means you should look at the meals you already eat. Does breakfast contain something that provides protein? Does lunch? What about dinner? Maybe breakfast is eggs with whole grain toast. Maybe lunch is beans with vegetables. Maybe dinner includes fish, chicken, or another protein. rich food. The goal is not perfection, it is consistency. But protein is only one piece of this story. Your muscles also depend on minerals and vitamins involved in normal muscle and nerve function. And this is where the story gets more interesting. For example, magnesium plays a role in normal muscle and nerve function. You can find magnesium in foods such as nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains, and leafy green vegetables. Then there is potassium. Potassium is an important mineral involved in nerve signals and normal muscle contraction. Foods such as potatoes, beans, tomatoes, leafy greens, and certain fruits can provide potassium. But here is the part I really want you to remember. These foods are not leg-strengthening medicines. They are foods that provide nutrients your body needs for normal function. That difference matters. You are not trying to find a miracle ingredient. You are trying to build a pattern of eating that supports your body over time. And there is another nutrient we should not ignore. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is important for bone health, and it is also involved in normal muscle function. As people get older, vitamin D status can become something worth discussing with a healthcare professional, especially if there are concerns about weakness, falls, or bone health. But don't rush out and start taking high-dose supplements on your own. More is not always better. Sometimes the smartest move is simply asking your doctor whether your vitamin D level or other nutrients should be checked. Now, you might be thinking, so should I eat more protein, more vegetables, take magnesium, take vitamin D? Not necessarily all at once. And this is where we are going next. Because knowing which nutrients matter is only half the answer. The more useful question is, how can you fit these nutrients into normal meals without turning your life into a nutrition project? Now, let's make this practical. Because knowing that protein, magnesium, potassium, and vitamin D matter is useful. But if you finish this video and still wonder, what am I actually supposed to eat? Then we have missed the point. You do not need to completely change your diet. Start with the meals you already eat. Think about breakfast. For many people, breakfast is where protein gets overlooked. Maybe you have coffee and toast. Maybe you have cereal. Maybe you grab something small because you are not very hungry in the morning. Instead, consider adding a protein-rich food that fits your normal routine. Eggs are one simple option. Plain yogurt can be another. Cottage cheese is another possibility. If you prefer plant foods, beans and other legumes can also contribute protein. The goal is not to create a perfect breakfast. The goal is to give your body something useful to work with. And there is an important reason to spread protein-containing foods throughout the day rather than thinking only about one large dinner. Your muscles are working all day. You stand up, you walk, you climb stairs, you carry things. You move around your home, so your meals can become regular opportunities to provide the nutrients your body uses for maintenance. Now let's talk about vegetables. You may not think of vegetables when you think about stronger legs, but leafy greens can provide several useful nutrients, including magnesium and potassium. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and other leafy greens can fit into soups, omelets, salads, or cooked meals. And you do not have to eat a giant bowl of them. A small serving added consistently can be easier to maintain than forcing yourself into a diet you dislike. Then there are beans. Beans are particularly interesting because they can provide protein, magnesium, potassium, and fiber. That makes them a practical food for someone who wants several nutritional benefits from one ordinary ingredient. You might add beans to a soup. You might have them with vegetables at lunch. Or you could use them as part of a simple dinner instead of relying entirely on highly processed foods. Now think about potatoes. Potatoes sometimes get a bad reputation, but a plain potato can provide potassium and other nutrients. The problem is often not the potato itself, it is what gets added to it. A potato covered with large amounts of butter, cheese, and salty toppings becomes a very different meal. So instead of thinking in terms of good food and bad food, think about the entire plate. Could you pair a potato with a protein source and vegetables? Could you choose a simple preparation instead of loading it with heavy toppings? Small changes like that are often easier to keep doing. And then we come back to vitamin D. This one is a little different because food alone may not always provide enough vitamin D for everyone. Fatty fish such as salmon, trout, and sardines can provide vitamin D along with protein and other nutrients. Some foods are also fortified with vitamin D. But if you are wondering whether you need a supplement, that is a conversation to have with your healthcare professional, especially if you take medications or have kidney, heart, or other health concerns. Now here is something important. Do not look at this list and think you need to eat everything. You don't. Instead, look for combinations. A meal with a protein source, vegetables, and a nutrient rich carbohydrate can be much more useful than searching for one magical ingredient. For example, imagine a simple dinner. You have salmon, you add cooked leafy greens, and you include a small serving of potatoes or beans. That meal does not look like a miracle. And that's exactly the point. Healthy aging rarely comes down to one dramatic food. It is usually the result of ordinary choices repeated over and over. But there is still one important piece of the puzzle. Food can support your muscles. Nutrition can give your body useful building materials, but your muscles also need a reason to stay active, and that is where movement comes in. Even something as simple as standing from a chair, walking regularly, or doing appropriately chosen strength exercises can give your muscles a reason to keep working. The combination is what matters. Use your muscles, feed your muscles, give your body time to recover. That is a much more realistic approach than searching for a single secret. Now picture a normal afternoon. You have finished lunch, and you are sitting in your favorite chair. The phone rings in another room. You stand up. Maybe that movement feels easy. Maybe you have started using your hands on the armrests. That tiny moment tells you something important. Your legs are not just muscles you use at the gym. They are part of almost everything you do. They help you get out of bed. They help you stand in the shower. They carry you through the grocery store. They help you step over a curb. They help you get up after sitting at the dinner table. And this is why maintaining leg strength is really about maintaining independence. You do not need to become a fitness enthusiast. You do not need to spend hours exercising. And you do not need to search for an expensive miracle supplement. Instead, think about the simple pattern we have discussed. Give your muscles regular opportunities to work. Give your body enough nutritious food to support normal muscle maintenance. And pay attention when something changes. Because there is one thing I do not want you to do after watching this video. I do not want you to assume that every episode of Weak Legs is simply because you are getting older. Sometimes weakness can have many possible causes. It may be related to inactivity or nutrition, but it can also be connected to medications, nerve problems, circulation issues, anemia, thyroid problems, or other health conditions. That is why new, sudden, severe, or worsening weakness deserves medical attention. And if you notice weakness mainly on one side of your body, or it comes with symptoms such as trouble speaking, severe dizziness, chest pain, or sudden difficulty walking, seek urgent medical care. Give your muscles regular opportunities to work. Give your body enough nutritious food to support normal muscle maintenance. And pay attention when something changes. Because there is one thing I do not want you to do after watching this video. I do not want you to assume that every episode of Weak Legs is simply because you are getting older. Sometimes weakness can have many possible causes. It may be related to inactivity or nutrition, but it can also be connected to medications, nerve problems, circulation issues, anemia, thyroid problems, or other health conditions. That is why new, sudden, severe, or worsening weakness deserves medical attention. And if you notice weakness mainly on one side of your body, or it comes with symptoms such as trouble speaking, severe dizziness, chest pain, or sudden difficulty walking, seek urgent medical care. Don't try to solve those symptoms with a vegetable or supplement. Your health deserves more than guesswork. For everyday gradual changes, though there is something encouraging here, you still have choices. Maybe tomorrow morning you add eggs or plain yogurt to breakfast. Maybe you include beans or leafy greens with lunch. Maybe dinner includes fish or another protein-rich food. Maybe you take a short walk instead of sitting for the entire afternoon. And maybe you ask your doctor whether vitamin D or another nutrient should be checked if you have ongoing concerns about weakness. None of these choices promises to make you suddenly stronger, but together, they can create a healthier environment for your body. And remember the question we started with. Why do some seniors seem to maintain strong, useful legs for so long? There is rarely one secret. It is usually a combination of habits. They keep using their muscles. They pay attention to what they eat. They get enough protein and other important nutrients. They stay as active as their health allows. And they do not automatically dismiss every change as just getting old. That may be the real secret. Not perfection. Not a miracle food. Not an expensive supplement. Just small choices repeated often enough to matter. So tonight, when you sit down for dinner, look at your plate a little differently. Ask yourself, where is my protein? Where are my vegetables? Am I choosing foods that give my body useful nutrients? And perhaps most importantly, What small thing can I do tomorrow to keep my legs working? You don't have to change everything. Start with one meal, one walk, one simple movement, one better choice, and give yourself credit for every step you take towards staying independent. One final reminder before you make changes to your diet or start any vitamin or mineral supplement: talk with your doctor or qualified healthcare professional, especially if you take prescription medicines or have kidney, heart, blood pressure, or other medical conditions. Some supplements and major dietary changes can interact with medications, or may not be appropriate for everyone. And if your leg weakness is new, worsening, unexplained, or interfering with everyday activities, don't assume it is simply aging. Bring it up with your healthcare professional. If this video helped you understand your legs a little differently, give it a like and subscribe for more practical senior health and nutrition videos. And tell me in the comments what has changed the most for you after 60 walking, climbing stairs, getting out of a chair, or simply feeling tired. Your answer may help someone else realize they are not alone. And in the next video, we're going to look at another everyday part of healthy aging that many people overlook: the simple foods that can help support energy and mobility as you get older.